Now, what makes El Mencho even more disturbing than your typical callous corrupter of governments is that he's also displayed a savagery that's reached a new level even by Narco standards. Many of CJNG's mass eliminations seemed designed to really, maybe terrorize the population through sadism, or just they're into that stuff. Things like 35 former humans, things done to them, dumped in the streets of Veracruz, a big city, one time a big vacation city, a nice place, all mangled, just dumped in the streets during rush hour. 35 people. That was in 2011. In 2013, some CJNG guys red-rummed and doused in gasoline and a 10-year-old young lady who was supposed to be a rival's daughter. She wasn't even the right person. In 2015, they took a guy and his elementary school-age son and duct-taped dynamite to their boom, and they recorded it with their phones while laughing. One DEA agent who investigates them said, quote, "The manner in which they people, the sheer numbers, it's unparalleled even in Mexico." And also, like I said, he doesn't appear much. Quote, the same DEA agent said, and quote, "In Mexico, you'd run into guys who met Chapo, but not Mencho. He's kind of a ghost." But he does exist, because I'm going to quote some phone calls from him later. Now, while Chapo was at the height of his power, following, if you remember that earlier big cartel war in Tijuana and Juarez, violence subsided significantly. Sinaloa had control. They were making money. But once El Chapo got caught for the final time in 2016, El Mencho and CJNG broke out. I mean, they are fighting to take control of Tijuana, and we'll talk about that in part 2, but tremendous amounts of violence since 2016-17 perpetrated by them. Captured members of CJNG tell law enforcement that El Mencho hates disobedience. He makes you beg for forgiveness before he takes your life. He'll execute your whole family based on just a rumor. Now, a DEA analyst said this, and this is kind of interesting. The Sinaloa and others who were getting a lot of their money out of coca in South America and would have to interact, of course, with the Bolivian growers or fly to Peru. Those people, not necessarily that Bolivians in general are more sophisticated than Mexicans, but the people involved in the coca business in South America are often from the upper classes, like Sosa and Scarface. And it causes them to have to learn how to be a little more refined, whereas getting into the METEH game in the beginning was, basically Mexican hillbillies with guns crushing pseudoephedrine up and doing easy cooks. This DEA agent said they didn't have to wine and dine Bolivian suppliers. They're not sophisticated, they're rough. And in fact, the latest horror story from south of the border involves terror camps set up by CJNG to train special sicarios and paramilitary operatives. The Jalisco guys set up these camps at obviously secret locations in rural regions to train them in using guns and tactics. But during their training, they had multiple occasions they have to consume humans, fingers, and in the end, heart. And quote, once a group of new recruits have graduated from this sort of training, at this point they've hunted down, killed, skinned, cooked, and eaten their assigned victim. They can't go back into traditional Mexican society. No shit. I mean, if you think getting jumped in a gang or something is extreme, I mean, imagine you take that plunge and you engage in you can never go back. Their souls have been darkened in the process. Mike Vigil, who's a guy you see on those like A&E Nat Geo shows all the time, but he was DEA International Office Chief. He says there's information that they make the guys sleep next to corpses at night for days and weeks to desensitize them and make them emotional killing machines. And, you know, I'm going to talk about this with El Mencho in general, but to make yourself so desensitized and commit so much violence to accumulate money, which you no longer can enjoy because you're no longer really human. Maybe they got so big so fast, they knew they were in jeopardy and they took the violence to a new level so they wouldn't become victims. And, you know, sometimes the things you do to get what you want change you so much you don't even care about the things you get. They're not enjoying many of the spoils of wealth and phenomenon like their terror camps events such a dark and diametrically opposed way of seeing life in the world. I mean, El Chapo and them were, you know, extremely violent, but I mean, hey, at least they had a bunch of girlfriends and wore jewelry. I mean, which might seem goofy, but it's what people do. They were enjoying the spoils. I mean, you can go on, of course, all their narcos, Instagrams and all their gold-plated guns and their cars. Not much of that from CJNG. Now, why would this be? Now, maybe El Mencho learned a lesson from Colombia where the dealers and the left and right-wing guerrillas were so powerful, they were armies, they were in a state of civil war, that in the end the Colombian government had to make a deal. And if you didn't know, I mean, yeah, Pablo got murked and the head of the Cali cartels went to federal prison, but like the Ochoa brothers, who were really the biggest people, one got killed, two of them were part of the general amnesty that thousands of Colombians who made, you know, some billions of dollars and certainly many millions, 5 years in prison, don't lose any of their money. So Jorge Ochoa, for example, who was probably imported the most coca of any, or oversaw the importation of the most coca of anyone in history. I calculated he might have imported 5 billion grams. He did 5 years. He moved to Spain. He's just a businessman there. He even occasionally gives interviews. His dumb brother Fabio got caught in another case in the U.S. and he entered U.S. soil and got 30 years.